you wish.
Thank you, Senator Lomas. I would think about scheduling it, but I think it would conflict with another hearing of the Environment and Public Works Committee. And I will choose to go to committee instead of a crisis. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to begin by also thanking Administrator Regan for your staff and their close collaboration with me and my office on so many pressing issues, not just for the country, but specifically for California in the areas of chemical cleanup, clean water, and clean air challenges. Now, earlier this month, if your scheduling process is anything like mine, it might not have gotten to your eyes yet, but you do have an invitation from me to come to California and visit the South Coast Air Basin to see again firsthand how pressing air quality challenges are impacting the community, and particularly as a result of the tremendous amount of goods movement that we see in Southern California. Proud to play such an important role for not just our regional but our national economy, but it doesn't come without impact, as you can appreciate. So I do hope to see you in the Los Angeles area very soon. Now, as you know, and as you will see, air pollution from mobile sources like freight trucks, ships, and locomotives disproportionately impact the health of lower income communities, communities of color, tribal communities, and other marginalized communities. And while California is certainly doing all it can, we've leaned in at the state level and at the local level to tackle sources of air pollution under state jurisdiction and local jurisdictions. These heavily polluting mobile sources that remain our biggest challenges are under federal jurisdiction. And so we need to continue this collaboration. We need the EPA to expedite reductions in pollution from these mobile sources. I also want to recognize, in all fairness to you, that years of underfunding during the Trump administration has made it particularly challenging for EPA to fulfill its obligation to these disproportionately impacted communities. But thanks to your leadership, these past 2 years, there's been this new life that's taken into the agency. And your rules, like EPA's recent rule strengthening emission standards for heavy-duty vehicles, are establishing some of the most significant protections that we've seen in decades. Now, EPA has a mission to also protect public health and advance environmental justice. But that work cannot be done without sufficient resources and staff. I know Chairman Carper asked generally about staffing needs, but I want to ask you to specifically address how increased funding for EPA's Office of Air and Radiation can enable the agency to move forward on this work to cut pollution and to save lives.
Well, thank you for that, Senator Padilla, and thank you for your partnership. Absolutely. If you talk to my staff, they are very grateful for last year's budget, but we are still in need of significant resources. There are some that might suggest that we can't absorb these increases. That's a hard message to give to people who are already overworked, and working 6 and 7 days a week. So absolutely, when we look at the challenges facing our country, especially on the transportation side, the amount of skills and resources and bodies that we need to keep pace with a changing economy and technologies, we absolutely need these bodies that we're requesting. We did publish a heavy-duty trucks rule in December of 2022 focused on NOx, but as you're noting, we have another obligation to do another trucks rule focused on greenhouse gas emissions. And so we're continuing to move forward with these regulations that, quite frankly, are technology standards. They are really driving the markets and where technology is going, and we have to keep pace with that. So in the Office of Air and Radiation, when we look at a good neighbor rule, our transportation rules, our 111 focusing on the power sector, our mercury and air toxics rules, these are the same individuals focusing on significant regulations that have to capture the market, analyze technologies, and do all of these things in a way that we can remain globally competitive.
Thank you very much. Time is zipping by fast, so I'll just raise another issue and submit it in the form of questions for the record after the hearing, and that's acknowledging the vision and leadership that you're providing, as well as a significant amount of investments that Congress has approved in recent years through the bipartisan infrastructure law, through the Inflation Reduction Act, and how we advance this whole of government approach, bring along other departments and agencies to advance this priority of, again, not just environmental protection broadly, clean air specifically, and bringing all the other powers and resources of the federal government to bear. So we'll follow up with you and your team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.